calm down, all right? Like, you're in college, like, relax. Grumpy slash no nonsense pie maker, pie shop owner with like a happy-go-lucky celebrity. That's the truth. That hooked me immediately right away, just that description of a serial killer romance. I was like, I never read that. This would be so funny, and it is. No, I'm kidding. That would be amazing. Little Simba's here. Do you see him? Oh, what a cute. I just love him so much. He's gonna be joining us for our wrap-up today. He is honestly the best co-YouTube star I could have asked for. Hello everyone, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Sarah. It's been a minute, not too long, maybe like a week and a half. I did get up to reading some really good books these past couple of months. I am so excited to share them with you. I'm probably gonna be petting Simba the entire time. Honestly, I'm not gonna lie, spring is coming, so I've been spending more time outside and just out doing things with friends, so I haven't read as much as I usually do because it's just been so busy. We also went to Denver. I filmed like a reading vlog while I was on the Colorado trip, so that'll be coming out. That's gonna be the next video that's gonna come out after this one. I'm going to be reading some good books in Colorado and showing kind of a little bit of what we got up to in Colorado. It was so much fun. I love Colorado. This is my second time going there. We were mainly in Denver, but we also went to Colorado Springs. So yeah, that's gonna be an upcoming reading vlog. Like literally the video after this one was probably gonna be that vlog, and that was so much fun. And then in April we went to Long Beach as well, which was also a lot of fun. A busy traveling month, and I didn't have as much time to read. I did read 5 books in the month of March and April, and I am very excited to talk to you about them. I did not have any 5 stars, but I had some that came close, which I feel like is what I say for the past couple of wrap-ups. I feel like I maybe only had 1 5-star this whole year so far, which is kind of sad. There are lots of new releases that are coming out, so I'm sure that some of them will be 5 stars. Like Emily Henry's new release, Great Big Beautiful Life, that's coming out, and I like 5-star all of Emily Henry's books, so that one is definitely going to be a 5-star. One to look forward to. Conditions of Will, Jessa Hastings, also just came out. I am very excited about that one as well. We have some good books ahead of us. Oh, bye Simba. For these past couple of months, our statistics, 1, 2, 3, 4, yeah, we got 5 books in March and April. 3 of those were romances, and one of those 3 romances was a dark romance. 1 was a fantasy, and 1 was a science fiction book. You guys, we finally did it. We finally read the science fiction book that I have been trying to read for actually a year. Probably it's been on my TBR, and I finally got around to reading it. Thank you Graphic Audio for getting me into that, and I'm like so excited to show you and talk more about it because, spoiler alert, I might be a sci-fi fan. I might be a sci-fi fan. This video is going to be a no spoilers review, ratings, just talking about some fun books that I read. Our first one that we read is one that finished a duology for me, and that is Nothing Like the Movies by Lynn Painter. This, I think it was in a reading vlog. Almost all of these were in reading vlogs, maybe like 1 or 2 weren't. But this, it was in a reading vlog, I'm pretty sure. I'll link it below if I remember. It is the second book in the Better Than the Movies duology. This, what do we say about this one? On Goodreads, it has a 3.99 rating, and I gave it a 3.25. So I think it's a good book. If you like Better Than the Movies, I don't think it's necessarily a necessary book. It was good, but it just, I don't know, I feel like the only reason this book was written is because Lynn Painter saw how well Better Than the Movies did, and she wanted to sort of capitalize on the hype around Better Than the Movies, so she wrote Nothing Like the Movies. And I just don't, I feel like Better Than the Movies was supposed to be a standalone, and I feel like it kind of would have been better off being a standalone, just because, like, I don't know, this, I did not recognize the 2 main characters in this book for a lot of the book. One of the biggest things that I loved about Better Than the Movies was that Liz was such a romantic. She loved old rom-coms, she loved music, she was just all about that. And Wes was just like your boy next door. I think he was kind of popular at the time when they, like, Better Than the Movies. He was very, like, I don't know if that's the right word, but like devil may care, where it's just like cool and chill, but he would have his moments where he would just like come out with this like truth, that famous quote, "She's not you." He would just like come out with that. and I think that's what I loved most about it. And also, she also capitalized on that quote becoming so famous right here you see on the cover. And I don't know, I feel like it could have been better as a standalone, because in this book we start off, there's a time jump already 2.5 years after Better Than the Movies. Liz and Wes are broken up. Liz is in college, Wes tried to get into college, but he couldn't because there was this tragedy that happened in his life. And I feel like because of that tragedy, he also kind of stopped trying with Liz as much, and then even though Liz kept trying, he was just in such a bad state of mind that he sort of like pushed her away, which results in, like I said, the unrecognizable character of Liz, where she doesn't believe in romance anymore. She goes to college, she's like a sports photographer, and she's friends with all of the guys on the sports teams, and they're all sort of see her like she's just one of the guys, which is another thing that I had a little bit of an issue with this book. I feel like it was just so cringy at some points, where it's like, okay, you're trying so hard to be current, I guess, and mention, like, he literally says, one of the teammates literally says to Wes, oh, Liz is just like one of the guys, and I don't even mean that in like a quirky way, like she literally is just like a guy. And it's just like, okay, so like if you had to do that disclaimer, Lynn, then you knew that people were gonna view this as like, oh, that's cringy, I don't know if I like that. I didn't love Liz in this book. Also, Wes, unrecognizable to me. Like, he was so obsessed with getting Liz back. Like, that was his driving force the entire book. And I kind of loved Wes so much because he had other things going on that wasn't just Liz. And he just, like, every other sentence is like, how do I get Liz back? How do I get Liz back? How do I get Liz back? I wonder if Liz is here. And it's just like, I know it's a romance, but like, calm down, all right? Like, you're in college, like, relax. I don't know, it was just like, I didn't love their dynamic in this. I feel like it could have been shorter for what it was. There was some cute scenes. There's this cute scene of them when they get like, they have a flat tire, so they can't valet at this really fancy restaurant, and then they end up eating food on the top of this like beat up car, like right next to the restaurant. And it's just like, there's like little things that I could definitely see being in a rom-com, and I think that's what Liz was trying to go for. But I just didn't love it, and I think that is why I gave this like a 3.25. Looking back, I might even rate it a little bit lower. I just didn't think about this book again, not once after I finished it. So yeah, overall, like, if you like Better Than Movies, you can read this book. I don't think it's necessary. I think that I might have been better off. I would have had a better view of the whole Better Than the Movies as a standalone than with this book. That was just unnecessary in my opinion, but that's our first book. We read When in Rome, which I don't actually have. I read it on my Kindle and listened to it on audiobook. That book is also in a video. Goodreads rates it a 3.89, and I gave it a 3.25 again. But I promise, I know this is my second 3.25, but the other books are like 4 and up. So just be patient with me. When in Rome is the first book in the When in Rome like interconnected series, where it's When in Rome, Practice Makes Perfect, and then Beg, Borrow, or Steal by Sarah Adams. And I read Practice Makes Perfect first actually, and then I decided to go back and read When in Rome. It takes place in Rome, Kentucky, which is just this like small town. The vibe of Stars Hollow, that's the vibe that it gave me, is like Gilmore Girls, Stars Hollow. That's how I feel like Rome, Kentucky is. All of the side characters are so fun. I feel like just like in Gilmore Girls, how you had like the townsfolk, they were so recognizable. Like Miss Patty had such a strong characterization. The mayor had such a strong characterization. I forget his name, Stan? I don't think his name's Stan, but his name might be Stan. That guy had such like a strong characterization, and I feel like because all the townsfolk had such a strong characterizations, it just added to the coziness factor, added to the just like small town vibe of Gilmore Girls. And I think that Sarah Adams did great at incorporating that into her When in Rome so far trilogy. Might be more books after this, because it was just so much fun. I love the townsfolk. I listened to the audiobook because I run and walk a lot, and I sometimes don't want to listen to music, and I get sick of listening to music, so I've been playing an audiobook lately, and that's why a lot of these books have been also like half and half reading, half audiobooks, because I just need something else to do besides listening to music when I'm on my runs, and I go on runs and walks a lot, like almost every day. That is a disclaimer of why I'm gonna say like half audiobook, half normal book in this video, because there's like all of them. I feel like I listened to half and half. When in Rome, I thought it was really cute. Each of the books seems like the pattern that Sarah Adams is taking with her interconnected series is that each of the books represent one of the family members in this small town of Rome, Kentucky, and that's usually how it goes. That's how Chestnut Springs was, how Lakefront Billionaires was. Like, it follows, each one is like each siblings love story. This one, When in Rome, happens to be Noah's love story, who is the only male in the family that we follow. The first one's about Noah, the oldest. The second one, Practice Makes Perfect, is about Annie, the youngest. This new Beg, Borrow, and Steal one is about, I forget her name, but it's one of the sisters, and there's one more sister, so I'm expecting there to be like one more book in this series. Noah's story was fun because he is like a pie shop owner in the small town. Their parents died a while ago, so he sort of took on the role of taking care of his siblings, his younger siblings. He just has like a very no nonsense attitude about him. This famous superstar pop star, like thinking Taylor Swift level. Her car dies in his front yard, which is so like that's never gonna happen, but it was just such a cute way to start the whole love story element. So he comes out, is like, who are you? And he doesn't really know who she is because he doesn't like really keep up to date on like the pop culture trends and all that stuff. So he's like, okay, your car's broken, you end up in my front yard, like why don't you come in? And she's like so terrified that he's like a crazy fan because she's so famous. She's like, no, I'm fine. And just he does like funny things to get her to come out, just come into the house and get out of her car. And that was a cute, very like meet cute type of way to introduce our main romantic interests. Of course, Amelia comes in and stays with Noah. It's a forced proximity, kind of grumpy sunshine, but not exactly, more like a grumpy slash no nonsense pie maker, pie shop owner with like a happy-go-lucky celebrity. That's the truth. She has to get her car fixed, and it's not going to get fixed for another 2 weeks, so she has to stay with Noah for longer than she thought she would. Of course, this led up to so many romances that I've been reading. I like the way that Sarah Adams did this one because it did stand out from all the other, like I said, there are so many romance books that are out right now that are just like contemporary romance, like this one, that I feel like they all blend together if you read too many at a time. But Sarah Adams, I feel like, does it. I love her writer's voice, and just the characters seem very fleshed out, and I feel like that's what makes her stand out from the rest of contemporary romances. Definitely gonna read more of her books, and we get to see Noah softening to her and coming out of his like hard exterior, and it's cute. It's very cute and it's fun. The next book I read is the highest rated book of these past 2 months. That is Leather and Lark by Brynne Weaver. This is the second book in the Butcher and Blackbird dark romance trilogy. The new one, Sith and Sparrow just came out. This is the second book. On Goodreads it has a 4.00 rating, and I gave it a 4.25. It was so much fun. I love Butcher and Blackbird because it was about serial killers falling in love. Like, how is that? Like, I was like, oh, that hooked me immediately right away. Just that description of a serial killer romance, I was like, I've never read that. This would be so funny. And it's so interesting the way that Brynne Weaver writes the Butcher and Blackbird trilogy, because it's like there's serial killers, like they're doing bad things and some things that are like gory and gross, but the way that she writes them is just such a comedic element to it, and I like laugh out loud when I'm reading these books. And Leather and Lark was the same way. This is about another brother. The first one was about Rowan. Like I said, it's like generally like they follow a family, and this is about another brother from the family of Butcher and Blackbird. Lachlan is like a contract killer. That's what I'm looking for. He's a contract killer. He has this like crazy boss, which is so funny. That's what I mean. Like, he has a crazy serial killer boss that does like heinous things, but it's like so funny the way that Brynne Weaver writes it. It is about him, and then it's about Lark, who is a secret serial killer. So her family, she's part of a well-off family, and her family doesn't know that she's a serial killer. Her best friend from the first book, Sloane, doesn't know that she's a serial killer, or like she thinks she doesn't know. She like is like a revenge killer type thing, and that's always kind of a fun concept. Lachlan is hired by Lark's dad to clean up one of Lark's murders, essentially. You know, they start out very like enemies vibes, where he just is upset that she's just a privileged princess that crashed her car in the river, and like now he has to clean it up, and she like doesn't like his attitude, so she's like sassy to him right away. Also, a month later they meet up at Sloane and Rowan's apartment, who is the couple from the first book, Butcher and Blackbird. They meet up at his apartment, and they're like, oh my god, it's you, and she's like, oh my god, it's you. You know, it starts off of like tension, but then they smooth it over. They have like a reintroduction to each other, and it's fun. They start hanging out, and they have to have I think it's like an arranged marriage type thing, or like a fake marriage type thing, where it's like complicated, but Lark agrees to like fake date Lachlan to protect Lachlan's family, thereby protecting her best friend Sloane, because he's married to one of Lachlan's brothers. Does that make sense? This is I looked it up in another video, duet narration, where the male voice actor that reads Lachlan's chapters also reads his quotes in a Lark chapter. I read the description in this other video and it was such a better way of describing it, so I'm just going to put the description right here. That's what duet narration is. I decided I like duet narration. I love it, in fact, and this is a duet narration. So it was a good audiobook as well. I half read it, half listened to the audiobook. The end was so good. The end hooked me right away and I loved it to the very end. The next book I read is The Reckoning, which is the third book in the Zodiac Academy. It is a chunky book. It's a chunky book. This is actually the indie cover. They're now having new covers out and they're slowly rolling them out like every month, but this is the original indie cover. This is like a relatively older series, I think. It is a massive series that follows two twin sisters who are lost princesses and their time at the Zodiac Academy. They have magical powers that can control all four of the elements. Excuse me, Avatar. Hello. They are learning how to hone them. The big issue is that they were lost princesses. They grew up in the normal world as orphans, and then someone on their 18th birthday comes to collect them and be like, hey, you're coming to go to school to learn about magic. You're actually lost princesses of this kingdom called Solaria. And they're like, oh my god, what? I love the whole dark academia type setting of the Zodiac Academy, and they come to the Zodiac Academy, and like I said, for 18 years the princesses were considered to be lost. So the current ruling family of Solaria are actually a group of families, and they all have sons that are eventually supposed to rule the kingdom together, and they've been bred and grown up thinking they're going to be the heirs to the kingdom, since the princesses were lost of the previous king and queen. And then they realize that they're not lost, and the heirs are like, well, we're not giving up our crown, so we're gonna make it actual hell on earth for you to be here. And they're so mean to them. In the first couple of books, even in this book kind of, but definitely in the first couple of books, the heirs are so mean to the girls, the Vega twins, and it's I almost didn't keep reading the first book because I was like, this is a bully romance. It's a bully romance, and I don't love bully romances. But I will say that I just love this world so much. I'm gonna keep reading it. I'm gonna buy the new editions of the books. A fun fantasy read, in my opinion. It is very chunky, but this is where the audiobook walking run situation comes in, because this is actually on graphic audio. So graphic audio is basically a movie in your mind. That's the tagline. It involves a full cast of characters, sound effects. It's really, really cool, and I love graphic audio, so this is on graphic audio and I listened to it on graphic audio, and that helped me get through it for sure. The Reckoning is basically what the other two books have been building up to, where now in this book the Vega twins are going to prove that they have what it takes to stay at the Zodiac Academy. And because there are many, many books after this called Zodiac Academy, we can presume that they do prove themselves. Fun. It's trials they have to do that are each part of the elements, and it is a fun read. There's also mystery that they're trying to uncover as well. Yeah, I think it's a fun book. It's a fun world to be in, and I can't wait to read the next couple books. But that's The Reckoning. If you're don't know if you want to read this book because it is a bully romance, give at least the second book a try. I will say I didn't like the first book, but the second book is where it actually got better, and this book was actually better, a lot better than the other two books. So at least if you're even a little bit interested in reading the Zodiac Academy, at least get to the second book, because I feel that will be the make or break, change your mind, or DNF it, or keep reading it. Spot. The last book I read, let me get a round of applause please, because I have been trying to read this book and this sci-fi series for quite literally over a year. I think I have a video of me picking my TBR of over a year ago where this book is on it, and I didn't do it, but I finally did it. Thank you again to Graphic Audio for sponsoring this video. No, I'm kidding. That would be amazing. Thank you to Graphic Audio for letting me actually get in to the Red Rising trilogy because we finally read Red Rising by Pierce Brown. I loved it. I ate it up completely. I think it's like a Hunger Games, like adult version of the Hunger Games. That's how I would describe Red Rising, at least for me in this first book. I think it's a trilogy. It is. It says Red Rising trilogy, but they also have like a trilogy that comes like after this trilogy. I don't know if I'm gonna read that yet, but I'm definitely gonna keep reading this trilogy. I'm on The Golden Sun. I'm currently reading The Golden Sun, which is the second book in this series, but this is a sci-fi series, and Goodreads rates it a 4.27 and I rated it a 4 stars. Did not know what to expect going in. I will say the first couple of chapters are slow and you really have to work through the world building and the introduction to the characters and just like the damn dark mood of the first couple of chapters to get to the good stuff, and that is what happened with this one. I remember I was listening to the graphic audio version of this and I was on a run and I ran for 3.5 miles and I literally didn't even realize it because I was so into this book. I was like, oh my god, I could have run like an extra 3.5 miles. I like wasn't even tired because my brain was so invested in listening to this book. So I highly recommend it for runs if you want to run them really, really fast. In this world, it is a color cast system. So there's a lot of colors in the middle, but the top of the food chain are the golds and the bottom of the food chain are the reds. The golds are very much the Capitol vibes. They have like crazy dress and like look weird. I also picture them as like the Lannisters, essentially, because they all have blonde hair because they're called golds. I picture them as the Lannisters from Game of Thrones. And then there is the reds at the very, very bottom of the food chain, and that is where Darrow, our main character, is born into, and he is a helldiver. So in this like sci-fi world, we've polluted it so much that the human race had to start terraforming and making Mars habitable for life. Could happen. So I think that was kind of cool that I feel like that actually could happen, and Darrow's job is to dig deep into like the mines that they've created of Mars and find this like helium-3, which is basically what's gonna make Mars livable again. So that's his job. It's very dangerous, not paid very well, laborious work, and that's how Darrow is. So they're also all very young in this series. He's actually I think only 16 at the start of the series. He already has a wife. He's 16. The beginning of the whole thing, and this is not a spoiler, it says it on the back, the whole story sets off from when his wife is killed because she is trying to basically stand up to the higher-ups and be like, we don't deserve this and you're lying to us, because Darrow finds out they actually are lying to them, and all this time they've been toiling away, blood, sweat, and tears, trying to get Mars like livable, but little do they know it's been livable for years and years and years, and on the other side of the planet the golds are living in luxury. They have grav boots which are like make you float in the air. They have all this like high-tech technology, and the way that they've lied to these reds is by telling them that they're heroes, they're making Earth livable, thank you so much, and then Darrow finds out that they've been lying to them all along and they're just making them do this work because they're just getting greedy and they want more and more and more, but they already have a lot of Mars livable, but they just want more and more and more. So they're telling the reds that they are heroes and they're doing everything they can and whatever. So Darrow gets really mad, A, because his wife died trying to basically stand up to the man, B, because he's like, I've been working my ass off for a lot of my entire life. And I will say too, the graphic audio version, specifically in the chapter, if you read this you know what I mean, in the chapter where they're playing the song that Io, his wife, sang before she died, it is like a movie. Like I feel like I was at the movie theater watching this happen. The sound effects, the cutting in with type things, it was so cool. Let me get to the Hunger Games part. Oh my gosh, I feel this video is so long-winded. I like miss making videos. I feel like I haven't talked to you in so long. Darrow basically, long story short, decides to become a gold. He has to go through all this training, all these surgeries, and all this stuff to pass as a gold. And it takes him like months to a year, and then he finally is like good enough to pass as a gold, and then he enters into the Institute, which is school, but it's murder school. The first like week they're there, they put them in a room with another like freshman essentially, and it's like, only one of you come out alive, go at it. And that's how they started off. The idea is that only the strong will survive, and then that'll make the gold race even stronger, you know, all that stuff. Then after that initial initiation, essentially, they get thrown into basically a Hunger Games, where it's like this enclosed dome where they have all separate houses of all the separate like proctors, which are like I think like teachers, and they have to fight to the death with each other, take each other's flag essentially, and whoever captures all of the flags wins. But like there are so many kids that die in this. That was a really interesting part because Darrow has to, not being a gold all his life, he has to now come off as a gold and fight for his life and draw other golds to his side in the process of fighting for his life. And it is really interesting, and I really liked this story. I think that Pierce Brown is such a good writer. I see why whenever someone says, have you read sci-fi, the next question is, okay, have you read Pierce Brown? Because he is so good at sci-fi writing, in my opinion. I haven't read, it's my first sci-fi book, so like I don't know, it's like the best one ever, but he was really good in this book, writing in this book. That is the last book that I read in March and April. I mean, I have allergies and I've been talking for so long and I feel like I am getting stuffy, so I'm gonna be quick about wrapping this up. That is all of the books that we read these past couple of months. The only one we're missing from this stack is When in Rome, because like I said, I read that on the Kindle. Those were our books that we read. Definitely some exciting new releases, Nothing Like the Movies, Leather and Lark, finally a new genre, and a really fun fantasy series that I'm excited to get into. I would say definitely of these, Red Rising was my favorite. The first sci-fi book I ever read, and I loved it. So that is all 5 of the books that I read these past couple of months. It is April. No, it's not. Oh my god, it's May. How is it May already? That's crazy. But I am already reading some really exciting books, so I can't wait to talk to you about that at the end of this month. Those are all the books that I read the past couple of months. Let me know if you read any of them. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.